TNT cannons are really cool. When I first started playing Minecraft back in around 2012, I used to spend a lot of my time just building up these really simple TNT cannons. They're really easy to build, and also they're really satisfying to watch. But, of course, this is no longer 2012, and TNT cannon technology has gotten insane. Now, in my time, I've designed some pretty crazy TNT cannons myself, one of which being my underwater TNT cannon, that once it's fired, you've probably seen this before, it can fire a piece of TNT hundreds or even thousands of blocks away, depending on how many TNT minecarts you use. Now, the one issue that a lot of my TNT cannons have is that they're really slow to reload. I mean, it can fire off a single piece of TNT that'll go blasting off, and well, we'll wait for it to reset itself, and then put a new piece of TNT in and load in all the new TNT minecarts. Takes a little bit. It's a whole thing, and then eventually you can go ahead and launch it off again. And I mean, honestly, it's still a good weapon. I mean, I'd say for sure it's definitely still worth building. But today, I want to see if we can design a TNT cannon that can fire a piece of TNT hundreds of blocks, and also have a very fast reload time. I find it really funny how banged up your redstone testing world gets when you design weapons. I mean, it looks like there's just been a whole war here. Alright, so the first thing I need to do is create an automatic TNT launcher, and what I'm thinking so far is something a bit like this, where I can dispense a whole bunch of TNT minecarts onto this block right here, and then when I want to fire it, I can go ahead and power them, and launch it off with this piston, and dispense a little bit of TNT, and we can launch our TNT as far as we want. Alright, so I've managed to automate the firing process a little bit, so now we can press the button, and it'll launch up the TNT minecarts as well as the TNT, and immediately launch it off. And we still have to manually place in the TNT minecarts. I'm next going to do a system that will automatically dispense them. Okay, so I've added a system that should be able to automate the placing of the TNT minecarts, so now if I put a block in front of this, it's going to dispense a whole bunch of TNT minecarts, and we can then go ahead and launch them off. It will, of course, automatically lift up the TNT and launch that off. And that went really far, actually. And now, if we break this, then we can dispense ourselves some more TNT minecarts and launch it off. Now, you might be thinking, this really doesn't seem very fast, does it? And in order to make it faster, you need to make it, a bit bigger. So what I've done here is I've turned the cannon into a modular system, so now if you press this button, you'll see the first module goes off, and the second module begins dispensing TNT minecarts that will then pop up to the surface any moment now, and that will set off the next module to start going. So as you can see, a TNT will continue to be fired over and over again on each module. Unfortunately, it is faster. It's definitely faster than the other TNT cannon designs, but it's still not that fast. It is technically possible to make the cannon fire faster by reducing the delay between the TNT minecarts launching, but unfortunately you get chain reactions like this going on. And, yeah, that wouldn't really be great. Alright, so I've done a little experiment to see if I can make this thing a little bit smaller, and I think it's worked, although this has a very high likelihood of blowing itself up. I'd say this thing probably right now has like a 5% chance of actually working, so let's just hit the button and find out. Yeah, that's not good. You know what though, if I take out the minecart refillers, this thing actually works really well. Alright, this might work a tiny bit better, let's see. No, that's not what I want. Alright, so the issue I was coming across is the TNT minecarts kept blasting TNT into other chambers, so I added these little guardrails. Let's see if that fixes anything. Oh, it might have. Oh, wow! Did you see that? That's exactly what we want. I think at long last we finally have ourselves a working system. I turned on that lever there, and now our cannon is firing, and immediately once that final TNT is finished firing, these TNT minecarts come up and begin blasting a new piece of TNT off into the distance. And we're going to keep doing that over and over until eventually we run out of TNT minecarts in these chests, which I think is actually happening fairly quickly. So yeah, obviously this is going to take a lot of resources to fire, but honestly, just think about how deadly that would be, just firing TNT into your enemy's base from completely out of their render distance. This thing's overpowered. And of course when we want to turn it off, then we can go ahead and just turn off the lever, and eventually it'll fire a few more volleys, but then the chaos will finally come to an end.